I had an idea that they weren't going to let me be Shane. Like I had prepared myself for that because of Shane McMahon. And then I was also worried I wasn't going to be able to be Helms. You know, Helms is my legit last name. Helmsley is not Hunter's last name, but he's their top guy, or one of their top guys. So I was worried I wouldn't be able to use that. So I didn't know what they were going to do. So that day at TV, they come to me. I'm not going to be Shane anymore. Therefore, I'm not going to be Sugar anymore because Sugar Shane was the gimmick. So I'm not going to have the Sugar babies. You know, so I'm not going to have my girls with me.
Right.
I can't do the Vertebreaker anymore because Vince was terrified of it. So I can't do my finisher anymore. So I can't have my entrance song anymore because my entrance song is the Vertebreaker, and I'm gonna drop the title. So it's just like this. They were just like they were chipping away at me, and by the time they were done, I was like 2.5 feet tall, and I weighed about 43 pounds. I was just like, holy fuck! It's like yeah. So they just took all this away from me in one night. I was like, I was really concerned, like man. And two, this was after the Bagwell situation, so I was like, they're just gonna fire me, and that's it. You know, I fucked up. So I was really worried, but.
Who was your agent at the time?
I believe it was like on Anderson. No, maybe it's probably Johnny Ace.
Okay.
I think it was Johnny Ace, yeah. Because On was doing commentary.
Okay. So basically, we were talking about how TV they pretty much squashed your character and.
They took everything from me, and I was super concerned at flying home that night that I was in trouble. But they did. You know, Stephanie was my she was the one that talked to me the most and kind of explained everything to me. And she was really, I mean, she doesn't, you know, she takes a lot of flack, I think, you know, on the internet especially. She was a super sweet person about everything. Like, don't worry, I know it seems like a lot, but, you know, we like you and all this kind of stuff. So she kind of put me at ease. The weird thing about that night was, you know, they called me, they used Gregory Helms that night for the first time ever. And Shane's my middle name. I've gone by Shane my whole life.
Right.
You know, my parents were going to name me Gregory Helms. I didn't even have a middle name. Shane, that cowboy movie, Shane was playing in the waiting room where I was being born. That's where I got the name from. And they called me Shane my whole life, and I always went about that. So I wasn't really comfortable being Gregory Helms, and I knew if I'm going to be a baby face or whatever, it's like it was just bland as shit, you know. So on the way home, on the plane that night, and it was in like Seattle, it was in Washington State somewhere that we were flying from. We had a red eye, me and Matt. I was sitting there writing down all these names on a notepad, you know, like every indie name I ever thought about using and did use. And the I was the Hurricane Kid for a brief moment in maybe 91, 92. And then when I started, now I was Kid Vicious for the early part of my indie career.
Right.
The invincible Kid Vicious, no doubt. And but when I started using my real name and Omega, I was the show Shane Helms. I was also almost going to be Hurricane, you know, Shane Hurricane Helms, just because it rhymed. Like Shane rhymed with Hurricane and it flowed with Helms.
Right.
I know people want a better story for why I became Hurricane, but the name just rhymed. And so next week at TV, you know, I get there early because I want to go to them before they have their creative meeting. So I found Stephanie and I was like, you know, I was thinking about Hurricane Helms. And she goes, oh, okay, that's cool. She goes, well, I have to run it by creative. And I go, okay. Like I said, I showed up really super early just to give them this idea.
Was Stephanie approachable?
Very nice, very nice. They're kind of all approachable. And like anytime I had a problem with Vince or something I needed to talk to Vince about, I would just gauge him. Like if he was in a good mood, then I go talk to him. If I saw he was in a pissy mood, then that shit could wait till next week.
Right.
You know, I always use that approach. But anyway, so they did the creative meeting, and I went to catering and ate. And later on, Vince was walking down the hall, and he goes, "Hurricane Helms, I like it." I go, yeah. And so I was Hurricane Helms from that point on.
Did you have a lot of say in the character at all, or was that pretty much? You know?
Oh, once I became the Hurricane.
Right.
Oh, totally. You know, like I was just Hurricane Helms. As basically, I was Sugar Shane Helms,
right.
But just called me Hurricane Helms for a while. That lasted for a couple months or so, whatever. But then, you know, I did a backstage skit with Steve Austin, and all I was told was that he might mention the tattoo. We didn't know what. I didn't talk to Steve about it. You know, this was a different era where they didn't write every fucking thing down. It's like, and I didn't know what I was going to say, you know, because I didn't know what Steve was going to say. And Steve, that's Steve Austin. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. You know, me on the other hand, I'm just happy to be here. I just got my name approved.
Right.
You know, I'm just thrilled that I have a job. You know, so I didn't know what I was going to say. Steve started asking me about the tattoo, the Green Lantern tattoo. And I started talking about the Green Lantern like it was a real person for no reason whatsoever. I was like, yeah, he knocked Superman out with one punch, bam. And Deborah started laughing, and then Steve reacted off of that. And it was like nothing that wasn't planned at all. It just worked.
Right.
And they just thought that was funny, you know. And the reason I got the tattoo was the tattoo symbolizes willpower. And I was a real small kid, you know. My first year of wrestling in high school, I went off state at 103 pounds. That's how small I was. When I graduated, I was only 130. And I mean, I was playing football. I wasn't even 100 pounds. I was just a really small kid that just, you know, I wouldn't. Goes back to my anti-bully camp thing earlier. I didn't do that shit. If you bullied me, I would fucking fight you. So the tattoo wasn't as much of me being a comic book geek as it symbolized willpower. And at that time, I had a lot. Not so much now, but that's how it, you know. And a couple weeks later, not the very next week, Stephanie come to me and she goes, yeah, we're thinking about making you a superhero. I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you know, with a cape and a mask, and what do you feel about that? And I go, well, I'm basically in my underwear now, so because I had, you know, I was wearing the little briefs.
Right.
And I said, I'm basically in my underwear now, so I don't care. And she goes, she started laughing. She goes, very good. And that was it.
Now, you mentioned Vince, that you were able to approach him. What was your earliest interaction with him? Do you remember?
Little things here and there. I mean, probably the one time first time I ever had to go to him with like a problem was the mask.
Right.
They'd got me like like the lady that made my first hurricane outfit. If you know, she's like, yeah, I got all these good ideas. We're gonna have you. I knew just like in 3 count. Like if I put my heart into it, that's what's gonna make it work. If we kind of go half-ass gimmicks never work. They just don't. And she's like, yeah, we got all these ideas. And I was like, okay. I showed up. It's a solid black outfit with an H on the chest. That's kind of tilted a little bit.
Right.
And there's a little thing on the back that looks like a hurricane, but it really just looked like a bullseye around my butthole.
Right.
And I was going, what the fuck is this?
Right.
But I didn't want to say anything, you know. But I was just like, this was your big idea? Like, I could have did this shit when I was in 3rd grade. But and the mask was like a Lone Ranger mask, how you buy from a fucking like cheap cart with the little kite string that tied in the back.
Right.
I was just like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? So I go to Vance. I was like, yeah, so I got a problem. He said, well, what is it? And I was like, this is a mask right here. He goes, you don't want to wear a mask? And I go, I don't want to wear this mask. This is a piece of shit.
Right.
And he looks at it and he goes, that is a piece of shit. And I go, I can wear it, but it's gonna come off in 10 seconds. So, you know, what do you want me to do? He goes, what do you think about face paint? And I go, and I got a great story about this. I got to tell you this real quick.
Definitely.
Guy in the Indies named Mad Max, great friend of mine named Chuck Coates. Always a big Stinger fan, always did the makeup. And like maybe a year before I was telling him like, you know, to involve his character. I was like, dude, nobody wears face paint no more. You know, it's played out, it's done. You know, I would just try something different. And I really believe that, and I did it like just to help him. Here we go, a year later, I'm getting told by Vince McMahon to wear face paint.
That's awesome.
And I'd actually forgot I'd even told Chuck that. So I remember the next time I saw him, he goes, how's that face paint treating you? I was like, fuck. But, you know, I go to the makeup artist, and I was like, yeah, Vince wants me. And so she would do it. At TV, I would have all nice and cool makeup. But on the house shows, when I had to do it myself, it would just look like fucking shit.
Right. What was it like to work with The Rock in 2003?
It was everything you would expect it to be, you know. Not one negative thing to say. It was only supposed to be that one promo in Toronto, was the backstage. That was, you know, there was no program written out for us. We were going to do that one promo where I came in the locker room, busted on him for insulting the people, you know. He called me the Hamburglar. I do all this, you know, shit, whatever. And that was going to be it. But you know, we pre-taped that one, and we watched it with the boys, and everybody was just laughing their ass off. And Kevin Dunn came to me later. He goes, "That may be the best pre-tape we've ever done." And so I was like, "Well, fuck," you know. And I mean, you don't know if he's blowing smoke up your ass or whatever. So I was like, "Oh, good," you know. Then next week I get a call. It's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do some more stuff with you and Rocky." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." And I kind of have a feeling that they might, because that, you know, that first night they had a battle royal, and you know, Toronto is a good crowd. They've always been good to me. You know, you always remember your good cities, you know.
Right.
And I just remember there was a moment in that battle royal where Rocky came to me, and when we started rocking, that fucking place came up. And I was like, I didn't. I said, you hope they see this. I hope that the office saw that and saw that it could be something. But you never know. They might have just said, yeah, whatever the fuck, who cares? But luckily they did, and we kind of rock and roll from there.
You had the one match with him on Raw, I believe, where Austin came out and you actually pinned The Rock, right?
Yep.
What do you remember of that?
Just that I never want to give him a rematch because I'm undefeated against him, and that's the way it should always be. It was great. I remember thinking it was a rib, like when I heard that I was going up. I was like, this shit ain't gonna happen because he's going to WrestleMania. Why
Right.
I was just happy for the rub. I was happy to be in the spot. I know it was a test, as those situations are. Could I hang? Could I prove I belonged? And I did. And it was received really well. I know I got to the back, standing ovation. All the boys are there. Like a lot of the guys stayed to watch. Like at that time, a lot of guys would just leave, but they all stayed just to see how I did. I mean, my friends, of course, but like even people that I didn't normally associate with.
Right.
It was really good. I came back and I was just like so happy, so thrilled. And it was like there was that moment where I had just moved up into the little upper level, and it was awesome, man. That's what every guy in the business aspires to.